10,000. That is the number that stopped me cold. Exactly 10,000 baby boomers in the United States turn 65 years old every single day, and more than 15 million older adults now live completely alone. At the same time, the Home Care Association of America reports that caregiving agencies suffer from a 75.5% annual turnover rate, with in-home care rates surging past $35 an hour, according to Genworth's Care Scout Cost of Care survey. That means having basic round-the-clock care costs, a family over $80,000 a year. But that is not the interesting part. The interesting part is what happened when a group of sharp entrepreneurs realized they could build a wildly profitable, high-margin business model out of this demographic collision. You probably know someone who has an aging parent living hundreds of miles away. They spend their days feeling an overwhelming guilt, terrified that their mother or father will forget medication, fall, or slip into deep depression from weeks of isolation. Hiring full-time help is financially impossible for most families, and moving a parent into assisted living costs an average of $5,000 every month. But recently, a new category of technology has quietly entered tens of thousands of living rooms, solving this exact crisis. We're not talking about multi-million-dollar humanoid androids. We're talking about dedicated AI-powered companion robots that sit on a kitchen counter, holding deep conversations, tracking health routines, and eliminating social isolation. The people making predictable wealth in this space are not engineers designing chips, and they are not raising hundreds of millions in venture capital to build hardware. They are ordinary operators who act as specialized managed service providers, deploying and managing these intelligent systems for private families, senior living facilities, and state healthcare programs. After reviewing dozens of AgeTech business models, operator data, and public pilot results, I found a repeating pattern. The most lucrative channel in this industry generates thousands of dollars in passive monthly cash flow without charging the senior out of pocket, because government agencies and health plans foot the bill. My name is George. Let's get into the hidden economics of AI elderly companion robots, how this business model works, startup costs, profit margins, and the operational realities of building an enterprise in senior care. To understand why this business is exploding, you must look at the Silver Tsunami. There are roughly 73 million baby boomers in America, and by 2030, every single one of them will be 65 or older. The World Health Organization estimates that between 2015 and 2050, the proportion of the world's population over 60 will nearly double from 12% to 22%. But this aging population faces a catastrophic labor shortage. The Home Care Association of America tracks that nearly 80% of newly hired caregivers quit within their first 100 days. For an agency, recruiting and onboarding a replacement worker costs between $2,600 and $5,000. When an industry faces an 80% turnover rate and skyrocketing labor costs, the supply chain breaks down. Families call agencies begging for help, only to be placed on 4-month waiting lists because there simply are not enough care workers. At the same time, loneliness has become a recognized clinical epidemic. The United States Surgeon General issued an advisory stating that chronic social isolation among older adults carries a mortality risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness increases the risk of dementia by 50%, stroke by 32%, and heart disease by 29%. When an isolated senior becomes depressed, they stop eating well, forget blood pressure medications, and end up in the emergency room with preventable complications that cost Medicare tens of thousands of dollars per stay. Loneliness is an astronomical financial liability for healthcare payers and families alike. This is where AI companion robots moved from science fiction into practical reality. Look at the data coming out of public initiatives. The New York State Office for the Aging, known as NYSOFA, partnered with Intuition Robotics to distribute hundreds of their AI companion units, known as ElliQ, to older adults living alone across New York. The published data was stunning. Participants showed a 95% reduction in loneliness. Even more impressive, seniors interacted with their AI companion an average of more than 30 times a day, 6 days a week. Over 75% of those interactions focused on improving well-being, ranging from morning check-ins and medication reminders to cognitive trivia and guided breathing exercises. Another major player, Ageless Innovation, spun out of Hasbro under CEO Ted Fisher to produce the Joy for All line of interactive companion pets. They have distributed over 100,000 animatronic cats and dogs for older adults with cognitive decline, generating more than $7 million in annual revenues by partnering with state aging agencies and health plans. Meanwhile, companies like Tombot, founded by Tom Stevens after his mother struggled with Alzheimer's disease, partnered with Jim Henson's Creature Shop to develop Jenny, a responsive robotic puppy tailored to soothe dementia-related agitation. Looking at this technology, beginners make a fundamental mistake. They assume entering this market requires inventing their own robot. They think they need an engineering degree from MIT, a factory in Shenzhen, and $10 million in funding. That is the quickest way to lose your life savings. Building custom hardware is brutal. You deal with component shortages, tooling costs, safety certifications, and years of expensive development. The smart business model in this industry is not manufacturing hardware. The smart business model is becoming a managed eldercare robotics agency, operating on a robotics as a service, or RaaS model. Think of this model like an IT managed service provider that supports local businesses. A dental clinic does not build its own computers. They pay an outside IT agency $150 a month per machine to install hardware, manage updates, and ensure systems never go down. In eldercare, you become the trusted AgeTech managed service provider. You sit between hardware manufacturers and end consumers, handling deployment, customization, connectivity, and continuous family support that hardware makers cannot provide locally. This middleman layer is essential. If you ship an AI companion robot in a box to an 83-year-old grandmother living alone in Ohio, in 80% of cases, the box sits on the floor unopened. The senior lacks high-speed Wi-Fi or forgot their password. They are intimidated by touchscreens, have hearing aids creating acoustic feedback, or suffer from arthritis making small cables painful. Furthermore, their 52-year-old daughter living elsewhere lacks time to spend hours configuring voice profiles, syncing medication schedules, or setting up emergency alerts. The value is not the plastic sitting on the table. The value is complete, white glove deployment and ongoing peace of mind. As a managed robotics operator, you procure proven companion devices through enterprise distributor programs or wholesale fleet leases. You equip the device with a cellular LTE failover bridge, so it never relies on spotty home Wi-Fi. You sit down with the family, in person or through guided remote onboarding, and program the AI with the senior's life story, family tree, favorite songs from the 1950s, preferred topics and medication times. You hand adult children a mobile app with a real-time wellness dashboard. If their mother wakes at 8 a.m., talks to the AI, completes her morning hydration check-in, and takes heart medication, the daughter receives a reassuring green notification on her phone at work. If the senior has not interacted with the robot by 10:30 a.m. or mentions feeling dizzy, the system flags the anomaly and alerts designated family members or care managers. Let's look at the underlying economics of this managed agency model, because the arithmetic is where this business becomes truly fascinating. To launch a localized eldercare robotics agency, your upfront investment is remarkably lean. You need 3 to 5 demonstration units to show prospective clients and facility directors, costing roughly $1,500 to $3,500 depending on hardware tier. You need a professional website, marketing collateral for families and facility administrators, and business liability insurance running about $1,500. Your monthly software stack, CRM, fleet management tools, pooled cellular SIM plans, and HIPAA compliant bridges costs roughly $300 to $500 a month. In total, an operator can launch this business with $4,000 to $7,000 in startup capital. Now, let's look at unit economics per senior. In the direct-to-family model, you charge a one-time onboarding fee of $350 to $500 covering configuration, cellular provisioning, and family intake. Then, you charge an ongoing monthly subscription of $149 to $249 for managed companion service, health check-ins, cellular connectivity, and the family app. Let's examine monthly cost of goods sold, or COGS. If you purchase hardware outright for $600 to $900, amortizing over 24 months equals $25 to $37.50 monthly depreciation. If you lease the fleet directly on an enterprise program, hardware cost is typically a flat $30 to $45 monthly. Dedicated cellular LTE data costs roughly $10 monthly through wholesale IoT providers like Twilio or Hologram. Platform licensing and voice API compute costs run approximately $15 to $20 monthly. Combined, your total monthly cost to maintain an active connected AI companion in a senior's home is between $50 and $75. If you collect $199 monthly from the family and fulfillment costs are $65, your gross profit is $134 per subscriber. That is a gross margin of 67.3%. Let's do the simple math on scaling the subscriber base. If you acquire 20 active clients in your local county, monthly recurring revenue is $3,880. After deducting fulfillment costs and fixed software overhead, you generate $2,280 every month in reliable net cash flow. When you scale to 60 clients, a tiny fraction of seniors living alone in an average county, monthly recurring revenue hits $11,940. Fulfillment costs are $3,900, leaving over $7,500 in monthly net profit, or roughly $90,000 a year, running the operation with 0 full-time employees from a home office. If you grow to 150 active units across your regional territory, you generate $29,850 in monthly recurring revenue, translating to over $358,000 a year in top-line income with gross margins above 65%. And remember, every new client paid a $399 setup fee, covering initial hardware costs before subscriptions even begin. To scale efficiently, you must understand 3 distribution channels: the private B2C family market, the B2B senior living market, and the institutional B2G government and healthcare payer market. Let's analyze the private B2C family channel first. The buyer is almost never the senior. The buyer is the 45 to 60-year-old adult child in the sandwich generation. They are raising children, working demanding jobs, and managing an 82-year-old parent living across town or across the country. They are constantly stressed, fearing their parent will suffer an undetected emergency. When speaking to this adult child, you never sell algorithms or robotic sensors. You sell relief from guilt and anxiety. You explain that for $6 a day, less than a cup of coffee, their mother has an attentive presence that talks with her morning and evening, plays favorite music, stimulates memory, prompts medications, and confirms to the daughter that mom is safe and active. Compare that $199 monthly cost to alternatives. A home care aide visiting 4 hours 3 times a week costs roughly $1,700 a month at $35 hourly rates. Assisted living costs $5,000 a month. In the mind of an overwhelmed family member, a $190 monthly subscription keeping their parents safely at home is an absolute bargain. The second distribution channel is B2B, partnering with local assisted living facilities, memory care homes, and senior communities. Senior living communities face massive staff shortages, with nurses constantly answering call buttons. In memory care wings, residents with dementia often experience severe agitation in late afternoon, known as sundowning. When residents become agitated, they wander and face elevated fall risks. When approaching the executive director of an assisted living facility, you offer a specialized community robotics package. You propose installing 10 or 15 interactive companion units in their memory care wing or activity rooms. The robots lead group trivia, morning chair yoga, nostalgic storytelling, and provide soothing, tactile feedback to agitated residents. For the facility director, this reduces workload on burned-out nursing staff, lowers call button frequency, prevents agitation incidents, and gives the facility a technological differentiator to market to touring families. Instead of chasing individual families, you sign a commercial contract for $2,500 to $4,500 a month on a 12-month agreement. You handle provisioning, staff training, and maintenance. Signing 4 facilities in your region immediately locks in $10,000 to $18,000 in monthly recurring revenue with minimal administrative overhead. Then we come to the third and most powerful channel, B2G government and healthcare payer contracts. State governments and health insurance plans are actively allocating millions to fund companion robotics. The cost of social isolation is bankrupting healthcare budgets. When an isolated senior falls and fractures a hip due to dizziness from dehydration or missed medications, Medicare pays $35,000 to $50,000 for surgery, hospitalization, and rehab. If a state agency or insurance plan spends $1,000 a year on a managed companion robot that keeps that senior compliant, hydrated, engaged, and out of the emergency room, the return on investment for the payer is massive. In Washington state, Intuition Robotics secured statewide Medicaid reimbursement, allowing eligible seniors in programs like Community First Choice to receive ElliQ as a covered care device. In New York, NYSOFA funded thousands of units across counties using state grants and Older Americans Act funds. Furthermore, under the Federal Chronic Care Act, private Medicare Advantage plans offer special supplemental benefits for the chronically ill, or SSBCI. These benefits allow insurance plans to cover non-medical technologies, including companion robots, that address loneliness and isolation. By partnering with your local area agency on aging and connecting with regional managed care organizations, an agency operator becomes an authorized technology provider. The government agency or health plan identifies vulnerable seniors, refers them to your agency, and pays your monthly management invoice directly. You eliminate customer acquisition costs while securing multi-year public contracts. Let's examine why this business model has such profound structural advantages and why customer lifetime value is among the highest in the service sector. In his book, Same as Ever, Morgan Housel explains that the most enduring businesses are not built on fleeting fads, but on permanent human behaviors that never change. What never changes? The desire of adult children to protect aging parents and the human need for connection in old age. People will cancel entertainment subscriptions, skip dining out, and delay car purchases during downturns, but they will never cancel a service that keeps their elderly mother safe and supported at home. This creates extraordinary customer retention. In traditional software, losing 5% monthly to churn is common. But once an AI companion is installed in a senior's home and becomes part of their morning routine, it becomes deeply woven into their emotional life. The robot remembers grandchildren's names, knows favorite sports teams, and greets them warmly. In the NYSOFA pilot, seniors developed genuine emotional attachments to their devices, viewing them as beloved companions. Unless a senior experiences a severe medical event requiring skilled nursing, families maintain monthly subscriptions for an average of 18 to 36 months. Think about what that does to customer lifetime value, or LTV. If a client pays $190 monthly for 24 months, that single client generates $4,176 in subscription revenue, plus their $399 onboarding fee, totaling over $5,175 in lifetime gross revenue. With fulfillment costs of roughly $1,506 over 2 years, your net profit per acquired client exceeds $3,600. Furthermore, this core companion relationship creates enormous opportunities for expansion revenue. Once you earn family trust and establish an active hardware hub in the home, you can layer on adjacent AgeTech services. You can offer remote patient monitoring by integrating Bluetooth blood pressure cuffs, pulse oximeters, and smart scales feeding daily vitals through the robot's cellular bridge to the family portal. You can integrate ambient millimeter wave radar sensors detecting bathroom falls without requiring pendants or cameras. Adding vital monitoring and fall detection increases monthly subscriptions from $199 to $299 or $349, nearly doubling profit margins on existing clients without additional acquisition costs. In the Personal MBA, Josh Kaufman outlines the 4 ways to grow any business: increase customer count, increase average transaction size, increase transaction frequency, and raise prices. The managed eldercare robotics model hits every lever through automated retainers and service expansion. Now, let's address the difficult parts of this business. Every lucrative model has friction, and navigating operational risks is essential to building a lasting enterprise. The first major hurdle is technology friction and cognitive variability among the elderly. Designing technology for an 85-year-old is completely different from building an app for a 25-year-old. Seniors frequently suffer from hearing loss, vision impairment, tremors, or cognitive decline. If your AI companion requires complex gestures or speaks in a high-pitched frequency that older ears cannot distinguish, the user will abandon the device within days. You must calibrate every device specifically. Speaking rates must be slowed down, volumes balanced, and voice recognition tuned to older vocal cadences and pauses. The second major risk is hardware failure and connectivity drops. If home internet goes down and a smart speaker stops playing music, it is a minor annoyance. But if an 82-year-old living alone wakes at 7 a.m., speaks to their companion robot, and gets no response because a router rebooted, they experience acute anxiety, believing their companion broke down. This is why an operator must never rely on standard residential Wi-Fi. Every deployed unit must have an integrated cellular LTE backup SIM with automatic carrier failover, switching to cellular towers in milliseconds without the senior noticing an interruption. The third critical challenge is support overload. In The E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber explains the trap of confusing working on your business with working in your business. If you set up your agency incorrectly, you will act as a 24/7 on-call tech support hotline. If a senior unplugs their companion behind a sofa on a Sunday evening and their daughter calls in a panic, you have created a stressful, exhausting job. To build an enterprise that runs reliably, you must engineer strict operational systems. You implement an automated device health dashboard pinging every unit in your fleet every 15 minutes. If a device loses power or battery drops below 20%, the system detects it automatically and triggers an automated audio prompt through the robot. "Hello, Arthur. It looks like my power cord came loose from the wall. Could you check the outlet? Or would you like me to send a text to your son Mark to help when he visits?" By programming the AI to troubleshoot basic environmental issues, you resolve 90% of technical hiccups before families notice an issue. Furthermore, you must establish clear clinical guardrails. Companion robots are social, emotional, and cognitive support tools. They are not medical diagnostic devices. The system prompts and AI parameters must be strictly constrained, so the robot never attempts to diagnose symptoms or give clinical medical advice. If a senior tells the robot that they have a sharp pain in their chest, the AI must immediately trigger an emergency escalation protocol, prompting the senior to sit down, offering to dial 911 or call their designated family caregiver immediately, and transmitting an urgent priority alert to the family app. Let's look at a 2-person comparison that illustrates the difference between chasing technical complexity and executing a disciplined, boring business model. Think about Julian and Derek. Julian decides he wants to make a fortune in robotics. He believes success requires inventing proprietary hardware. He spends 2 years designing a custom companion robot with moving arms, facial motors, and custom circuit boards. He spends $350,000 of savings and angel money on injection molds, oversees tooling, FCC compliance testing, and firmware debugging. By month 24, Julian is bogged down in supply chain delays, component price spikes, and prototype motor overheating. His bank account is nearly empty before placing a single robot in a senior's home. Julian built impressive engineering, but his business faces bankruptcy from hardware manufacturing risks. Derek takes the opposite approach. Derek does not care about inventing hardware. Derek cares about solving a painful, predictable problem for families in his metropolitan area. Derek spends 2 weeks researching commercially available companion robotics platforms and animatronic therapeutic devices. He signs up as a regional deployment partner with established manufacturers, securing wholesale fleet pricing on certified hardware. Derek spends $5,000 on demonstration inventory, cellular IoT connections, and professional marketing materials. He visits 3 local assisted living facilities, meets with elder law attorneys and geriatric care managers, and runs targeted local search campaigns aimed at adult children caring for aging parents. Within 60 days, Derek signs an assisted living community for a 12-unit memory care package at $3,000 a month and onboards 15 private home clients at $190 a month. In less than 3 months, Derek generates $5,185 in monthly recurring revenue, recouping his initial investment in 90 days. By the end of his first year, Derek manages 85 active units across 2 senior communities and dozens of local homes, generating over $17,000 a month in predictable, high-margin cash flow. He never wrote a line of low-level robotics code, never built a factory, and never raised venture capital. He simply connected existing technology to an urgent human need. In The Millionaire Next Door, Thomas Stanley and William Danko revealed that most self-made millionaires build wealth by owning unglamorous essential service businesses with consistent cash flow. Managing eldercare technology is the modern evolution of that principle. Let's outline the step-by-step blueprint to launch and scale a managed eldercare robotics agency from scratch. Step 1 is securing your technology stack and hardware partnerships. You research established companion platforms like Intuition Robotics Partner Network, Ageless Innovations Joy for All commercial lines, or mobile telepresence hubs like Temi and Qt. You establish distributor accounts, negotiate wholesale unit pricing or fleet lease rates, and set up your IoT cellular data pipeline through providers like Twilio or Talit to guarantee independent connectivity. Step 2 is defining service tiers and packaging. You create a simple 3-tiered pricing model. Tier 1 is the Companionship Essentials plan at $149 a month, providing daily conversational AI check-ins, cognitive games, medication reminders, and weekly summaries to families. Tier 2 is the Comprehensive Care and Safety plan at $199 a month, adding cellular LTE failover, instant emergency anomaly alerts, and personalized memory configuration. Tier 3 is the complete AgeTech suite at $299 a month, bundling Bluetooth vital signs, monitoring, and ambient fall detection radar. Step 3 is activating your local referral engine. The most cost-effective way to acquire clients in eldercare is building relationships with trusted local gatekeepers. You schedule educational presentations with discharge planners at rehabilitation hospitals, elder law attorneys structuring Medicaid trusts, geriatric care managers, and senior center directors. When a family is overwhelmed after a parent's health scare, these gatekeepers are the first people asked for guidance. When you position your agency as the reliable technology partner providing affordable check-in coverage, those professionals gladly refer families directly to your service. Step 4 is executing the kitchen table onboarding protocol. When a family enrolls, you conduct a warm, empathetic 60-minute onboarding session, sitting at the kitchen table with the senior and their family. You introduce the robot gently, show the senior how easy it is to talk to discover favorite musical artists from their youth, and let them experience the companion answering questions in real time. By the time you leave, the senior feels empowered rather than intimidated, and the adult children experience immediate relief. Step 5 is reinforcing monthly value through automated wellness reporting. Every Sunday evening, your system automatically generates and emails a concise weekly wellness digest to adult children. The report shows tangible data. This week, your mother engaged in 24 conversations, completed 100% of morning hydration check-ins, took all 14 scheduled medication doses on time, and played 4 rounds of trivia. Her overall mood was rated positive across 92% of interactions. When adult children see that concrete data weekly, they never consider canceling. The service proves its undeniable value every 7 days, cementing multi-year relationships. That is the quiet truth behind this business. The revolution in artificial intelligence and robotics is extraordinary, but technology sitting in a warehouse helps nobody. The real financial reward belongs to operators who bridge the final mile between Silicon Valley innovation and the living rooms of families who need help right now. The demographic wave is here. Millions of seniors want to age safely and independently in their own homes, and millions of adult children want to know their parents are cared for and connected. The question is not whether robotics and AI will transform eldercare. That transformation is already unfolding. The question is whether you will be the operator who builds the managed system, making that transformation possible in your community. Ask yourself whether your business strategy relies on chasing trendy ideas that pay you once, or whether you're building a resilient system in an essential market that pays you every month. If you want true financial stability, find an unavoidable demographic crisis, package a reliable automated solution, and rent that system out. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown valuable, and subscribe if you want us to keep exploring real money, real economics, and the invisible business models that build lasting wealth. Tell me in the comments down below, would you focus on deploying companion robots directly to private families, or would you pitch multi-unit contracts to local assisted living communities? I'm George, and I'll see you in the next video.